Yeah, I don't interact with the land development team much.
Okay, channel 17, please start recording. Thank you.
Welcome, this last week of school to TMAC, and I say that because I get to go straight home and, feel kids and the first getting to summer vacation. First, I would like to go around and introduce everybody. My name is Beth Province. I'm TMAC Chair.
I'm Noah Gordon, member of TMAC. I'm Ryan Kohler, contingent member of TMAC sort of thing.
I'm Emma, and I'm thinking about joining TMAC. That's why I'm here. Ashley Suyak, Public Works. Kendall Thurston, member.
David Keller, TMAC. Ray McFarland from TMAC.
Gordon Golding, Provo City Development Services.
Andy, Provo City Development Services. And Provo, also Provo City Development Services.
Frank Keith, Provo City Engineering.
Okay, Alan Schur, Provo City Engineering.
Excellent. Okay.
We got online.
Oh, there's two online. Could you go ahead and say your name? Oh, just one online.
Everyone, I'm Joel Tepoa. I'm the Planning Commission liaison.
Oh, awesome.
So-
Nice to meet you.
Joel will be replacing Lisa in August since we don't meet in July. And we'll get him nominated and paperwork sent to the mayor's office, and then they'll do the advising consent of him becoming a TMAC member. So he's joining us today from that perspective.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you face to face. We just have one action item today to approve minutes from the April meeting. Does anybody have any corrections or anything they'd like to make to the meeting notes? Excellent. And who all would like to approve those notes?
I would like to, but since I did review them, I'm not going to.
Oh.
I was not here for the meeting, so I can't.
Yeah. I moved it. Thank you. And I can second that, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. I will second that. All approved? Yay? Okay. We only have one major item on the agenda today, but it is a big and long one. We asked Vern to go ahead and pull a lot of numbers together about east-west connectivity throughout Provo, and so we're going to hand it over to Vern to start us off.
Okay, I'll try to speak loud enough over the mariachi band next door. Okay, if everybody remembers, there we go. East-west connectivity was a discussion topic, and you guys asked me to put together a lot of information, and we were able to do that. The transportation master plan, so we're going to talk about what each plan says, and we're going to look at the three plans, and then we're going to kind of look at a few other things with east-west connectivity, with level of service, and what corridors are east-west, and what has been done and what yet needs to be accomplished. So the general plan, these are all the references made to east-west connectivity in the general plan. You can see improve east-west traffic flow, look at signal timing to reduce red times for east-west travel. Center Street is the primary east-west corridor for the city. It is one of those. 600 south from Lakeview Parkway to 1100 west will provide east-west mobility. That's right out of a project description. And then 3700 north to the east-west connection across the north end of the city, connecting MDU High School, Edgemont Elementary, and it goes into Orm's 800 South corridor to the west. So that was all the references to the general plan. To the transportation master plan. Let's look and see what was in the general plan. Yes.
One because it looks like we missed one at the very bottom.
Was there one at the bottom?
Scroll down.
Yeah, okay. Let's see if I can make this the right size here. If I can.
Control minus.
Control minus.
Where's it
plus
at?
Minus, plus minus.
Right up here?
Right.
Got it. See if that helps. One more, maybe? there we go. Okay, so, the last one was connection of 500 north from 700 east to 900 east at 450. So that's been on our plan for 30 years. Go through the colony there, connect 500 at 700 east, connect over there to 900 east at 450 north. So that's an important east-west connectivity as well. Okay, let's go this way. General plan references, talks about I-15, the railroad tracks, and BRT actually being a little bit of a barrier to east-west traffic. Those run through the city, and I'm just, you know, the plan actually says front runner and UVX, but let me just say railroad tracks, BRT system, and I-15 all act as barriers to east-west mobility. References bike, walk, and transit gaps, especially for east-west connectivity because of those barriers. East-west connectivity has been made especially difficult by the train tracks, I-15 corridor, and limited flow at the few crossings. Of course, we're aware of that. Page 63, encourage connections to increase east-west mobility, explore the feasibility of an active transportation facility from east to west across I-15. So that's what the general plan references. Let's go to the conservancy and resiliency plan. East-west references mentions synchronization of traffic signals, could reduce idling, and then streamlining bottlenecks at east-west connectors. So looking at that as well. So that's what's in our plan. I think the city and all our policies are very much aware of east-west connectivity and the east-west requirements. So, what has been done? Major completed east-west connections, Foothill Drive to 4800 North, which leads to Center Street in Orem. That particular arterial was completed in 2007. 500 West under I-15. Now, you're going to say, that's not an east-west connection, but what I'm bringing up here is this is kind of it runs north and south, but it is east-west connectivity because it gets across the interstate, right?
It crosses the major.
Crosses I-15. So that was done in 2012. Lakeview Parkway to 500 West, that arterial and connection to I-15 was done in 2016, so fairly recent. And then 2000 North from Lakeview Parkway was done last year that connects to Geneva Road, which then connects under I-15 and across the railroad tracks around 2000 North, Provo 2000 South, Orem. Where it crosses the first set of railroad tracks, you leave Provo, you go into Orem. The second set of railroad tracks is all the way into Orem, and of course under I-15 in the roundabout at Sand Hill Road is Orem. So when you think about this for just a second, our west siders who live west of I-15 really only had 3 connections that were in Provo before these 2 were done. And that was Center Street, 920 and South, and 820 North. Those were the only 3 connections. With the rebuild of I-15, 500 West was able to get in, and then Lakeview Parkway, that road has been completed now all the way through. It's completed all the way around. So, for whatever reason, looks like we're getting the second half of our order here, so feel free to go and grab what you want. Okay, so let's talk about our major and local street plan. What does it have on it and identified for future connections? Well, the 1680, 1730 North, I'm going to try to show where this is at. It goes right over here. So that would connect to Geneva Road and go up and over or down and under I-15 and connect to 1730 at Sand Hill Road on the other side, east side of I-15. So that's an arterial, a minor arterial that's planned.
You have to go over the railroad.
So it has some engineering challenges with the both sets of railroad tracks being very close to I-15, whether that, it'd probably have to be a full bridge structure all the way over.
And you probably have to end Sand Hill Road, start the bridge up at the top of the hill.
Without a doubt. It has some challenges. 1680 north, from Geneva Road to Lakeview Parkway. This is a collector that is in the Ivory Homes development called Broadview Shores. That will be connected and completed as well. 500 north, 450 north, we just talked about that, from 7th East to 9th East. When redevelopment of the colony occurs, we are looking also at working with the property owners that have some commercial establishments there on 9th East that would connect to 450. That would be a beneficial east-west arterial as well, minor arterial. 200 north, from 700 east to 750 east. Let me show where that's at. Well, it's a little hard. But what this does, it would get access to 800 east, which would be great for bicyclists along the 200 north corridor. It's a low-volume road. And I think you'll be hearing from us more about 200 north versus 300 north as a east-west bikeway. 560 south from Epic Lane to Lakeview Parkway. That extends right here. You can see it where it would extend from currently, I believe it's 1100, maybe 1600. Not at 2050, I don't think yet at Geneva Road, but it will extend. Then 1150 south from 1600 west to Epic Lane. That's down here. We have subdivisions that are already coming in and showing some type of connectivity there. And then 1560 south from 1100 west to 1600 west and connecting that. So our transportation master plan does show east-west connectivity for future collectors and arterials.
This may be the plan to do to. What's the status of the 900 south over the yard?
So
That's something that's.
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to MAG's RTP, and this is where we kind of get to talk about that. So new major east-west streets that have been identified for future connection in MAG's draft 2055 Regional Transportation Plan. We all had a really good presentation from Bob Allen. Was that January of this year, or I don't know when it was, but we had a really good presentation from MAG, talked about the Regional Transportation Plan. So the first one is 1680 to 1730. That one's still on there.
How long has that one been on there? A long time. Okay.
I'd have to go back and look at the two previous transportation master plans, but it's been there, I think, for at least the previous one. I don't know about the 2000, but it certainly was for the 2013.
I had heard that when the freeway would be rebuilt for the first Olympics, collector roads, and there was many drafts of things to do. Just kind of fizzled at that point.
Well, they had a whole collector distributor system that went from about Provo Center Street up to about 1730s, 1460, somewhere around there. But they selected a design build contractor, and that all went out the window. And what they were able to do is convince the DOT that if we don't build a collector distributor system, we can widen the road all the way down to Spanish Fork. And that's what they did. So we lost the collector distributor system in the frontage roads of Provo.
And that's not something.
It's not being proposed in the new 2055 RTP. Let me just say it that way. Okay, it's still an idea or concept out there.
Okay. Now I'm closing myself off. I'm cold.
Ryan, did you have any personal knowledge of
I don't have any personal knowledge, but I do like the CD system that was there, and I've heard a lot of things in the industry that the design builder that won the job
definitely didn't do any services to the local cities. That the alternative could have been better for local development.
No, you're exactly right, and I think they really, cater to the DOT and not to the partnering cities and towns, yeah.
I was just curious.
We still talked about the 500 north, we just talked about that, 700 east to 900 east, that's in their plan. 900 south grade separation, this is the one, Greg, that we're talking about. Goes from 350 east over to 7th east, so basically from the, yeah, it would connect to State Street over there, come down by the cemetery, and come down right before 350 here by the Food and Care Coalition.
Hey, can we go back up to, I know you just talked about 500 north, but the one above that is 500 north over under the railroad track.
500 north, to 620, yeah, thank you, I skipped that one. This is completely new, this is not in Provo's Transportation Master Plan. I'll show it to you in a little bit here, but this is a strange one. It would have to go up and over I-15, 2 sets of railroad tracks, the Provo River, and come in somewhere around destroying Fort Utah Park. I don't know that people have thought that one through. It's
Fort Utah, south and
Fort Utah?
yeah.
Well,
On the south side of the river.
it's on the south side of the river. It might come in right on the north side, but it hits 620, which is,
You would either have to go, you'd either have to take out like a bunch of, or you could work the bike trail into it, but you'd have to take out a bunch of houses in that neighborhood. Or like build it over the river, which I think would be.
I think the first one came in right at Fort Utah Park. It wasn't far enough north, so they extended that to go up to 620. So when this goes out for public comment, when the RTP goes out for public comment by MAG, and it will be toward the beginning of next year, around January, we need to certainly get a recommendation from TMAC, and you're individually, as residents of Provo or Utah County, share whatever you want with them. Provide a lot of input, okay?
So I'm gonna, and this is speculation, but would this be something to lay a foundation for a freeway exit?
Probably not right there.
A little too close.
Too close.
Yeah.
But part of a CD system.
Yeah, if it were a CD system, a collector distributor system, then that could work, yeah.
Okay.
But that's not being proposed on the 2055 RTP. And then, once and for all, Utah Lake Crossing from Pelican Point to the east side of Utah Lake, right now, they're showing it anywhere from 2000 north in Provo, Center Street in Provo. If you haven't heard it, UDOT is doing a major PEL study, which is planning the environmental linkage study. They did meet with the administration and me earlier this week. They're 6 months into the study. It will take 2.5 years. They have 2 years. What I think Provo's concerns were this, as we shared with the team. I believe Avenue is doing that, right, Ryan?
Avenue is doing that, yeah.
So what we shared with Avenue Consultants, UDOT's selected contractor for this, was that we want to know once and for all, is this feasible or not? Because if it's not feasible, then we need to plan 10 other projects that will somehow provide the access and the road widths and the transit and everything else that goes along with it. Otherwise, if you're just putting all your money into one idea and it doesn't ever happen, we got more congestion in the valley. Okay? So that's kind of what we told them.
Is that Rich?
Sometimes the concepts are just studied to see what would happen, because you don't know till you know. Like, I'm doing a feasibility study to put a cable stay structure over Lake Powell right now. $600 million to
Yeah.
put a bridge in the middle of nowhere. But we don't know if it's what it looks like until we know what it looks like.
This study will look at a whole bunch of different alternatives. I mean, they'll look at ferries, they'll look at floating bridges, they'll look at span bridges, they'll look at causeways, they'll look at, hey, we're gonna know once and for all in a couple of years, right? And then it either stays on the plan or it disappears for good. At least that's what I'm hoping. Okay. So, existing east-west widening project and MAG's draft plan for two projects that are still on there are 2200 North, from Canyon Road to Stadium Avenue, and also the 820 North corridor from Geneva Road to University Avenue. Those haven't changed. Those are still on our plan, and they're still on the RTP's draft plan. Okay? Now, we want to talk a little bit about level of service. It can refer to an intersection or a corridor. What we're going to talk about today is more associated with the corridor level of service by segment instead of an intersection level of service. Level of service D is what we design and what is acceptable in the state of Utah. That's just what it is. In urban areas. In rural areas, they design, and what's acceptable in rural areas is level of service C. It's a little bit better level of service, but they have lesser population. They actually have, per capita, more vehicle miles traveled in rural areas because they have to travel longer distances to school, to doctor's appointments, to those things. Shopping even. So what we're going to talk a little bit about today is the level of service D for our PM peak hour here based upon daily traffic volumes. Roadway capacity can be, varies by the number of lanes, it varies by the number of driveways or the number of public streets accessing it. Even traffic signal spacing and timing affects corridor level service. So you can kind of see up there, it's like a report card, right?
You should not interpret it as a report card. It's the number one thing I teach my students.
Okay.
It is not a
Go
report
ahead.
card.
Give it.
Do not. So level of service C means you have the least traffic delay. Level of service E means you are using the infrastructure most efficiently. You're operating more services closer to their capacity.
And I think that's a really good observation. However, that's why we designed to the level of service D, okay, is to maximize, you don't want a roadway that's 200 feet wide and 8 lanes across, right? It's not, no one's going to be using it half the time. You want to be efficient with the public's money, and you also going to reasonably expect to put up with some delay.
No, the number one mistake that people made when they developed level of service is give it letter grades.
Yeah.
It should not be interpreted as a report card. We've known this for decades. But it's so impossible not to look at that and say A's are better than, like, they're not.
Right. And that's why I started off with the level of service D and what we designed for. But for a layman, or layperson, you can look at it as a report card, okay?
Again, I reject that categorization. You should not interpret it as a report card.
It's tricky because everything has a lifetime, right? So you're shooting for optimal lifetime utilization. So when you first build it, it might be underutilized.
That's right.
Yeah.
20 years down the road, it might be failing again. So when you see things built, it's not like we're building for today. Usually it's sometime in the future. There's usually a target year that we design to.
I think that's a really good point. You get a new road and you're going to see just that on Lakeview Parkway when I get down to it, right? You're going to see this new facility and you're going to say, no one's using it. It's not the case necessarily, but, okay, I'm going to try to blow this up just a little bit so you can see the numbers here. Let's start off with 4800 North and Foothill Drive. So this is Foothill Drive coming down off the mountain. This is one of the roads that we got built here and connected next to 4800 North. These are segments. So each segment that you see here, we were able to pull up the volume and the percentage of that capacity being utilized for level of service D. Not the physical capacity of the road, So it's not level of service C like you would find under rural area, but it's level of service D. So when we look at this, 21,000 vehicles between this segment and this segment, we're looking at about 64, if I'm reading that correctly, 64% capacity of a level of service D. So there's, you know, it might be busy, but it's not that busy, right?
Yeah, you could add 10,000 cars per day to it, and it would still be level of service.
So this next segment, 14,000, you see it's at 42%. Now, remember how I talked about lane sizes and lane widths, or not lane widths necessarily, but number of lanes? It does drop down here, and so I have to use a different calculation to calculate these roadway segments. So this newer road that we built a few years back is about 30% capacity for a level of service D. It's got 5,400 vehicles that use it on a daily basis. This segment, 3,300, so it drops down to 18%, and then it climbs a little bit, 3,500 vehicles per day on Foothill. So we're going to go through each one of these east-west, because that's what I was requested to provide information.
Thank you.
And then you guys get to certainly do some discussion here for the rest of the day. Let me zoom in on this one. Okay, 3,700 north. I believe this connects to 8 south in Orem.
And this goes by Timpanogos.
And yeah, it hits Tentview High School and Edgemont Elementary School. Will's Pit Stop is here to orient you. So we're about 83% on this segment. We have a major safety problem right here, and we're going to be doing something at Edgewood Drive in the next year or less if we can. But Dave's already designed a draft for us, and we're going to look at improving the safety of that intersection. This segment's about 89%. So what happens is there's a lot of vehicles that use this segment here. You're at 60%, you drop down to 60% here, and then, you know, Quail Valley, you know, it's just not that busy. Okay. Let's go down to the next one, University Parkway. Now you're asking, is that a north-south road or east-west? It is east-west.
It's the diagonal.
Right, it's the diagonal, the old diagonal as we called it. So now when I show this up here at 103%, that means it's 103% of level of service D capacity, which means it really is a level of service E. Everybody's been there, right? Get down here a little bit better, 75%, 88%, it gets busier. Where are we at here? 90%. Bowden, what's this number? 61? Okay. And so 92, if I remember correctly, over here by the stadium. And then, what's that, 63? Okay. So that is Parkway. And there are some very busy parts of Parkway. And the further west you get, the worse it is. Right? Everybody's been up to Orem. And 2230 north. This connects to University Parkway and to our 9th East. We're at 65% between this segment here, 67% between University Avenue and Canyon Road, 111%. Now, I want to tell you the two numbers here. This is a number that's extrapolated using UDOT numbers. This is UDOT numbers. When you see an asterisk, that is Provo City's actual counts. Okay, so they're off by 2,000 here because I counted this in January at 17,000, and it's probably a little low because that time of year, seasonal fluctuation. But when you look at that during PM peak hour, it's certainly over level of service D, and we're into E. As you pull around here on 9th East, you're going to see traffic increase. The drop off is at Tentview Drive. I lost my mouse. And that's around 85% along 9th East. So it's a busy facility. Everybody knows it's a busy facility. And it's only getting more busy. Now, didn't you do something last summer? Didn't you do some traffic counts on there last summer?
We did some traffic counts on 9th East over by the church building south of the university.
Okay. Now,
We didn't analyze those at all. If you want the data, I can share it over.
yeah, I'd love to see
I mean,
that.
it was kind of an interesting time because it was when that stretch of 900 East was closed. Where it was the stretch between the MTC and the temple was shut.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So volumes may have been lower,
Adjusted, yeah.
but yeah.
Vern, when
Yeah.
the temple reopens, what do you expect these volumes to increase by?
I don't know how much they're gonna increase, but I know I'm gonna have to do a signal warrant analysis on North Temple and 9th East. I've already promised that to the neighborhood. So, and I won't do it in-house. That one I'll actually hire a consultant to do because I want to make sure everybody's trustworthy.
Those are tricky though because the old temple district and other temple.
I think the old one.
820 North, let's look at the volumes there. I'm gonna make this just a little bit bigger so I can see it. Okay, so this segment, please note that this segment's only a couple lanes. And so when I say it's 86% of level of service D capacity, and then it drops down here to 37, that's because we get to 3 lanes here. We get over here east of State Street, it goes back up to 89%. And then what we're looking 70 there, west of between Freedom and University Avenue, and then 64% east of University Avenue.
Vern, what methodology did you use to determine the level of service?
I use,
Not the level of service, but the capacity for the, because yeah, there's no turn lane on that section of 820 North, but there are also no driveways to turn left into. So it's strange that your level of service capacity would be so sensitive to that.
it's sensitive to lanes and it's sensitive to the spacing of traffic signals. So it's either less than or greater than half-mile segments. And I can show you what I use. I use UDOT approved level of service capacities for C, D, and E. That's what I use.
Okay, so is that based on highway capacity manual methodology or?
Yeah, highway capacity methodology for urban, suburban, and rural areas. This is an urban area, so.
When were these numbers?
These are, thank you, 2024. 2024. So they're a couple of years old.
Is this a combination of AM and PM peak or is it
This is AADT, so this is daily traffic volumes.
The level of service will fluctuate during the day.
I guess as I'm seeing all the numbers, I'm really curious as each section has different volumes and where are they going from?
Well, in this case, it's not a difference in the, there's some difference in the volume, but mostly the difference between the 86% and the 37% is you're using a different inputs to this level of service formula. So it's not that the volume is changing by that much, it's that the data, the design data makes the level of service, the capacity at which you reach level of service be much higher.
And there are a number of reasons vehicles cram together there on the west side. You've got the Freedom Academy there, the Liberty, whatever. There's a lot of vehicles stack up when those kids are getting in and out. You've got the railroad crossing there. A lot of people going to, you know, the high school or something, get to sit there and wait for a train, or they're coming back, get to sit there and wait for the trains. There's just a lot of reasons people jam up near the freeway.
That's right. The level of service D capacity, the level of service D capacity over by the freeway is like 11,000. But then you drop 3,000 because of all the Freedom Provo College people driving up onto Granby, right? So the volume goes down by 3,000, but the level of service D volume jumps up to 16,000 in that segment because of the extra space and the nose traffic signals and the turn lane and all those other things. So that's,
Yeah.
So when it goes past 500 west, when there's no center turn.
but also the volume goes up really high.
Yeah, well, that's why.
And also be aware of the length of the segments. So this is a pretty small segment from Independence over to Geneva Road. This is a much larger segment from Independence all the way over to 500. Okay, which one is this one? This one is 500 North. So you can see 500 North. It's got a lot of capacity still remaining in it. It's been busy, very, very busy, because it's been our detour route for the bridge being out at 8:20. So that doesn't reflect today's numbers, okay? This is 2024 numbers. As you get closer, I think everybody realizes how important 500 North is to Provo City. And you get over here by the rec center, and you're going to see higher capacity. We are replacing that signal there this year. And then when you get east of that, University Avenue, UDOT's number was 11,000, okay? I didn't believe it, and I still don't believe it. And so we had numbers where we just Cajon did a new traffic signal at 4th East and 500 North, and this was our traffic volume counts, okay?
Well, you should use UDOT's numbers when you're doing signal ward analysis. You should do Provo.
So anyway, this shows a little off, right? I mean, that's pretty far off.
Well, they probably measure it right at the library.
Yeah, they could have. These segments, you know, they measure the whole segment, so you're right. They could have measured it right at the library. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is 200. I don't believe this either. 1,000 vehicles on 200 North. If that's the case, best kept secret in Provo for east-west mobility is 200 North.
I go 200 all the time. I was gonna tell you, yes, and let's just keep that.
Yeah, keep that secret, right?
This is a public meeting.
Let's look at Center Street.
On 200 North,
Yeah,
have seen the difference, especially with BRT.
yeah.
Oh,
You've seen an increase in traffic?
Tremendous.
Because David lives right on 200. He fronts 200 North on the south side.
so would BRT cutting off the next one?
Yeah, that's about the only, you can cross University at Center, First North, Second North, Fifth North, and what is it, Seventh North, Seventh North.
Third, fourth, and sixth are these.
Okay, Center Street, we'll go again from west to east. We got out here at Lakeview Parkway. Actually, it's Lakeshore Drive is this segment out to the harbor. 15%. It's all concerns there. When people say how busy Center Street is, it is very, very busy. We look at 5100. We just added bike lanes, and this section was just completely reconstructed. So David was able to get us bike lanes on the south side. We had them on the north side, just didn't have room on the south side. Future development's going to push that where we'll get curb and gutter soon. Okay, moving over here, this is an interesting thing. UDOT said they had 18,000 vehicles, which is 275% of a level service D, which means it's pretty much failing, okay, during PM peak hour. Our counts are a little bit different.
You had 28,000?
28,000.
Oh, it's 28,000, thank you. My eyes are bad. 18.5, I believe. Now, the reason for the two different ones there is I calculated this one out at its current 2-lane configuration. It will be restriped this summer to a 3-lane facility. Once that apartment complex is built, that will be striped from 1600 West to Geneva Road to a 3-lane facility, and then it's still 137% capacity of a level of service D. Okay. It will improve, but it's still going to be a level of service
Not without
D,
the department
right?
going in.
Okay. 109%. I don't think this surprises anybody that we have 36,000 vehicles coming off of I-15 on Center Street. A lot of them turn, but some continue. Center Street itself, it's a little peculiar. I did calculate this out at 4 lanes. There are 4 lanes, they're very small, 9.5 foot width lanes, but, we do have a lot of traffic signals, so that's at 75% capacity with 18,000. I haven't gone out there and counted, we haven't done our data there, but I suspect we're closer to 20,000 on that segment. Drops down to 11,000 when you get east, and then there's a little segment here between 9th and 1080 or something like that.
7th and 9th.
7th and 9th, thank you. It is 7th and 9th. 64, and then I get down to 39 when it gets east of 9th East. What we learned was the state hospital produces a lot more trips than we thought. Obviously not by patients, but by support staff and all the freight deliveries that need to be there to support the population that's there.
Plus the Frisbee golf course. It draws people from everywhere.
Really?
Every once in a while, you get to go to the castle,
What was that?
the castle.
Oh, yes.
What are your October?
Are they still doing the haunted castle?
There's a little place. Yeah.
I remember doing that years ago. I didn't know they still had it. Okay, let's go down and talk Lakeview Parkway for just a second. This is a new facility, right? This is exactly what Ryan was kind of talking about. There's excess capacity built to accommodate capacity up to the design year. David, do you remember the design year, 2045 or 2050? I think it was 2050 was the design year on this one. So UDOT says we only have 1,000 vehicles, and that's only 3% for a level source D. I've done some counts out there. We actually have around 2,600 vehicles a day, and it's getting busier. It's growing.
Well, as people realize that it's connecting, like, I know as soon as 2000 connected through to the parkway, that's how I drive home every day from work. The volume has gone up on 2000 significantly.
And then
And they connect to the parkway.
this segment east of University Avenue is one big segment that they did. It's 14,000, approaching 60% capacity on Lakeview Parkway. So now this is where I get to turn it back to you guys for discussion, and I get to enjoy not talking.
But I'm gonna have you scroll through.
Okay,
Can you go to the Center Street side real quick?
which one?
The Center Street side?
Yep.
I am that one, to me, that's actually extremely concerning. The fact that we are so over capacity in those areas coming off.
Well, let me just say that it is a state route, State Route 114. We have been working tirelessly for the last several years trying to get Geneva Road and that segment on Center Street built. That's supposed to go to 5 lanes, and then the Geneva Road's supposed to be a full 3-lane cross-section. Sidewalk, curb and gutter, and shoulders on the east side. Curb, gutter, and a trail, and shoulders on the west side.
That was me, my next question, because I know Geneva Road is a state road, and I know 500 West is a state road. So that once it crosses over and hits 500, does it stop being a state road and go down to 300?
It's a state road all the way up to State Street. So State Street to 2050 West. Now, years ago, this used to be a state road all the way to the state hospital.
And all the red roads on that are state highways. Provo, yeah.
And I know this is more of a northwest connection, not or north-south connection, not east-west. But I feel like it's probably gonna impact it. They have plans to take Geneva all the way to Lakeview.
So, yeah, it's in our transportation master plan to connect 2050 West down to Lakeview Parkway, yes.
My biggest concern in this area is all the development's gonna happen here in southwest Provo, and then how does that traffic get on the northbound I-15? I hate the northbound access at University Avenue interchange. I don't really care for it too much here. This is where everybody's gonna go. And it's this traffic, you know, as that fills out, this is just going to get worse and worse for the interchange.
Well, that's why the parkway, if correct me if I'm wrong, Orem was basically told to finish the parkway up, connecting to Geneva Road right below Orem Temple, so that they have access to.
University Avenue interchange, which also isn't great. Yes.
Well, I understand, but it's a connection towards the freeway. That's,
On is there still a new interchange in Provo on the long-range plan?
It is currently on the RTP, and it's a draft on the future draft of the RTP at
I mean,
820.
they'd have to do an environmental impact statement. I think the idea is putting a freeway interchange somewhere around 800.
I know that's in the plan. Like, part of the reason I'm here is I told this committee rejected that last year. UDOT had allotted $3 million for that environmental study, and Provo turned them down.
The mayor turned them down because I don't think this committee ever talked about it.
Well,
I don't know, like, I wasn't.
we had used probably at least half, if not somewhere around half of that funding already. I was on the original team, the private sector side that did partially that study. It didn't move forward with the environmental. I think, it's just a personal opinion, I think once UDOT is done with their Pell study and catch their breath, they ought to do the same thing for 820 and make a final decision on that someday, right?
Like, I'm not,
It would be the commute lanes, we have house the commuters for BYU and IHC that are our biggest employers. So it would be a direct commute for them to get all those commuters to get out of University Parkway and.
Except BYU has no parking. There's nowhere for the traffic to go on BYU.
as it goes at the bottom side of the, right through all of the students.
Yeah, you gotta go.
Into the building.
What was that?
BYU prefer people not to drive.
Yeah, there's the bank parking lot right next to Canyon Road and Old Provo High. That's a good sized lot.
Yeah, that may still be there.
They have lots.
BYU is contemplating charging faculty and staff for parking, in an effort to reduce driving to campus. So,
Is there any, well, okay, I'm just
I mean,
gonna ask-
BYU has thousands of parking spaces every day that go unused. They're all in University Park.
There's a lot of capacity by the stadium for parking, but I have seen that fill up considerably over the years. That's a thing that BYU kind of says to the city, don't worry about parking. Whenever they build a new building, don't worry about parking because we got plenty of it. Well, you do have plenty of it, just maybe not in the locations where it's needed.
So for Center Street, this is all, mostly all of this is state, so we really can't do much about it.
No, that's not true. It's on the RTP, it's on our plan as well, and we have really been pushing hard for Geneva Road and Center Street to get fixed.
So we do, when we do state projects, so I primarily work for UDOT projects, we generally have to follow whatever the local municipality master plan is. We can't just do whatever we want. The master plan for the city says there's a trail here, we put the trail in on the UDOT property. So if it's not on the city's master plan, then we do what's best for UDOT generally.
So if this is sitting, from UDOT perspective, this is sitting at 275% capacity. Yeah, the 28,275 capacity. Would they consider expanding Center Street?
Yeah, and I've shared this information with them. When I found out, I was looking at the traffic study for the apartment complex, and I said, guys, we got a safety problem on Center Street between the interchange and 2050. And I showed them this. They're aware of it.
It's also important to note, though, that the thing that's actually going to govern the design of these roads in these tight urban areas is the intersection level service, which is a different methodology. Like the Center Street, the Fifth West is an intersection design problem, not a segment problem. Like the volumes are over 100%, but the intersection design level service is the thing you need to look at. And even if you make...
Are you talking about the freeway exchange or just?
No, I'm talking about Center Street over to Fifth West, that giant left turn lane that backs up 2 blocks every day. that's an intersection issue, not a road segment issue. And even if you make Geneva Road 7 lane, or if you make Geneva Road 7 lanes, you make Center Street 7 lanes west of the freeway, the signals at the interchange can't handle the additional volumes.
So one thought that a couple of us had several years ago was why, since Provo City Center drops the speed and is really making that more of a pedestrian bike friendly area, which I'm not opposed to at all, why not push traffic up to, that's a 35-mile-an-hour road? Is there a way to design it that way? I think that would help with that situation because, like you said, a lot of people go 500 west. We still have 75% capacity in the downtown area, but it's more about that, like you said, the interchange between Center Street and 5.
We're certainly encouraging First North. It is a 35-mile-an-hour road. Having a little faster speed, 35 over 15, we think there would be a little bit better attraction rate there. But we haven't seen a huge change. What's going to change that eventually is going to have to be design. And that's all I'm going to say. It's already acting at a very poor level, intersection level of service at the 500 West. And I'm working with UDOT now where 6th West may not be a through street much longer. It may experience raised median there. We don't get people turning left there anyway, maybe 2 per peak hour. I don't even know how they can do it during peak hour, to be honest.
Safety hazard when they do it.
Yeah, so safety hazard when they do it. So we're like 3700 north, right before the signal there, we got a problem. And same thing with this one, only this is truly UDOT's problem, but we're gonna work with them.
I guess if I had all the money in the world and that impacted nobody on a personal level, I would say reroute Center Street to go up to First North and have the major intersection be at First North instead. And have that.
Well, there you get east-west problems too, because First North ends at the old. It doesn't go all the way. So, and you have a like there are 5 blocks of it where it's effectively an arterial. But every other part of it is a residential street.
So at least you can make left turns.
So that's what,
That's right.
if we're talking about, because if you got 36,000 coming from the freeway to Fifth North, but you only have 18,000, half of that traffic is going north and south on
That's right.
Fifth. So why not make it easier to go north and south on Fifth?
There was a discussion a couple of years ago, Vern, I think you were around for this, about the city acquiring that grocery store and building a big S-curve into Center Street, right? And so then it would dump people off on First North. The problem is, where people really want to go is northbound on State Street. You still have a huge left turn problem.
What would be sweet in my mind is if you did a one-way frontage couplet, Center Street would be eastbound, First North would be westbound. They come together near the interchange.
We do that all the time, and all the cities that have done that have tried to walk away from it, because it's really bad for, like, local pedestrians. A lot of cities did that in the 70s, and every city that did it is trying to undo it now.
One-way roads just have more efficient intersections, like for traffic movement. If you ignore everything else.
Right, but it becomes a car sewer and all the businesses die.
Yes, ignore everything else.
You move a lot of cars through, but no one wants to be around.
Well, we need better efficiency for the access.
Yeah.
On the whole east side.
I think what's archaic, even though it's new, is both of our interchanges. Both of them are peculiar in nature. There's not any standardized interchange on the entire I-15, I-80.
It's the worst designed interchange in the state. Like, it's a death trap. It has terrible operational efficiency. The people who designed it should be ashamed.
Well, from what I understand, so I was told that Provo forced that onto UDOT, that Provo had a better design.
Yes.
People here complained it would turn into a raceway with what UDOT wanted to do, so they put this in.
Well, there was also an issue where the design that would be most efficient would have required closing that interchange for a year. because they had to build the new interchange, like, they had to build the new interchange where the old one wasn't, and they wanted to keep Center Street open across I-15 and the freeway during the construction. And so that means that meant they had to move it down, and that's why you get this weird displaced design. The way to do it correctly would have been to tear it down, close the whole road for a year, and then open up a well-designed interchange. That was rejected.
Okay, can you send these?
Yeah, I'll send the PDF out to everybody. I'll make sure that gets done, and,
I'd also
you
like.
guys can look at it, and I think you guys could discuss more next meeting in June, and I won't have to present in June. You guys could just, any other items you want on the agenda other than east-west connectivity? I think it's healthy discussion, and I know right now, intuitively, some of the engineers in the room have been looking at this and discussing things, and even engineers have difference of opinions, right? So, I think it's healthy discussion, but our plans do have, you know, remedies for this. We are planning east-west connectivity. There's just only so much money, and a lot of this is development driven, where we just don't go out and build the road ourselves. Sometimes we do, like Lakeview Parkway, but rarely does that often occur.
So this is my encouragement to TMAC members. You're gonna send these out, go through them if you can, if you have time. Get 2 or 3 highlights I want to bring up, because for me, the first things that highlighted to me was Center Street, also the, around the temple. Those are kind of the 2 big highlights to me through these things. Go through, look at your highlights. We don't have much on the agenda for next month, so we can just go through these slides one by one if we want to. Yeah, and I think this is going to be a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a suggestion for a follow-up item for not too far in the future.
Okay.
And that was last May, we heard from the BYU students and faculty about the near misses, and pedestrian near misses with cars. And in that discussion, I remember talking about people trying to report near misses and people trying to report bicycle-related incidents with cars, and the system for doing that was not very functional. And I remember some discussion about that. I don't know what the police department, I remember something vaguely about that, but.
Yeah.
So, I have a follow-up on that. The police did hear that, and they did make a change to make it easier reporting a non-vehicular accident. But they are not counting near misses. No way to report a near miss. Okay. Now, there is software out there and camera systems that do that. We have not invested in those systems.
We have to build a data center to have enough capacity to do that.
David, I like your sense of humor.
Okay, really quick, I know we're like right almost at time, but, David, could you just give us a real brief update on 820?
So, we are on schedule. We're planning to open up July 4th, for the road. The trail will remain closed for a number of weeks after that, as we are getting a mural painted. And the artist has requested kind of clean conditions, and that can't happen really during construction. So we're kind of doing it a 2-phase opening, but the road will be opened, scheduled by the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So you can just get through these, but this is just kind of some updates. We've done some backfilling, we've poured the deck. You can just see as we go through, but we've made a lot of progress in the last month, and this next month you'll see just as much progress here as we close out this project. So
It's all the visual progress.
mm-hmm.
Tunnel going to be lighted?
Hmm?
Will the tunnel be lighted?
Yes. So, yeah.
Awesome. Aaron, do we have much on the University Avenue Bridge replacement?
Yeah, we have a couple of things. I don't know if I reported last month, we were boring, we ran into an object, started to go up a little bit. They submitted a revised plan of the railroad turned that one down, surprise. And then just a couple of things associated with that project. We're restriping, not us, but the contractor's been restriping Lakeview Parkway and State Street intersection all week. Sorry for the delays, but that's gonna be so much better. You'll see it. It's just a much better striping. You won't see lines going everywhere, which way. Also, just be prepared in the month of June. I don't even want to say this. The southbound on-ramp to I-15 is going to be shut down at University Avenue. So what you'll do, instead of making that
Southbound I-15 or southbound to northbound I-15?
southbound University Avenue to southbound I-15. Okay, so you'll go to the traffic light, you'll make a right, and then you'll make a left onto the ramp, and that's going to be down for a month. While they do pour new concrete on the slip ramp, that's a little hook ramp going northbound.
Oh, man.
So just be aware of that.
Has it been like blasted out there?
Joseph will be in charge of that. Joseph's sitting back here. Him and UDOT will work together and getting that out. Huh?
Everyone's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
good thing
just so you know.
Nemo's out, my husband doesn't have to say that anymore.
Kehan, did you have anything?
We can discuss it next month.
Next one, we're good, okay.
Oh. Okay, so
Thanks,
yeah,
Kendall.
go over your, thank you, go over the slides, see what you guys want to talk about next month. And next month is June 11th, since we moved it up a week for.
So did we decide we're not gonna meet in July?
Yeah,
So
we
we're
don't-
not meeting in
July
July,
and
we are
December,
meeting
no
in
meeting.
August.
We will meet in August.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's good.
thank you, we're done.
Rick, are you doing August?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have my students come and
Okay,
do
great.
some stuff that we've been working on.
Super, okay. Hey, Ron, good to see you. Yeah, likewise. Sorry, I missed